What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the King of Kryptonians Part 1. Now, let's begin. Naruto's perspective. I was destined to be a leader, a sovereign, a ruler. I am destined to guide my community towards a prosperous future. That is the information I received on my initial day of existence. My name remains Naruto, though my parents refer to me as Emperor. My parents have expressed that I was born from the finest genetic heritage of my lineage. Engineer, warrior, diplomat, politician, cook, and more. They collected DNA from the most accomplished individuals in their respective fields and raised me. My parents described me as perfect. I spent 10 years in solitude. During the aforementioned isolation period, I had multiple instructors. My military instructor was a Kryptonian known as General Zod. He exhibited a strict demeanor. He maintained a neutral expression, much like myself. He was designed to embody the ideal warrior. If I were the ideal emperor, he would be the quintessential warrior. I also carry his genetic material. In a sense, he is one of my paternal figures. Ultimately, I possess the genetic lineage of the most significant individuals in the world. General Zod embodies the quintessential warrior, a genetically engineered individual designed to serve Krypton, representing an ideal weapon and an exemplary general. My policy instructor was a woman named Alora Nz. She exhibited a firm yet compassionate demeanor. Initially, she interacted with me in a rather distant manner. Over time, she began to treat me with greater gentleness. This marked the first occasion in my life when I truly understood the meaning of kindness. She had a daughter named Kal-El, who was both intelligent and somewhat indulged. It was evident that she bore a strong resemblance to her mother, exhibiting a remarkable kindness. Alora Nz provided me with comprehensive insights into politics. She was the individual who transformed my perspective on the conduct expected of an emperor. My military instructor, General Zod, stated that an effective emperor is one who governs with strength. I believed he was correct. How can individuals follow me if I exhibit weakness? My policy instructor stated, a good emperor is one who takes care of his people and provides guidance. He must embody strength, gentleness, and firmness when necessary. He requires the wisdom to lead the people toward a brighter future. I must demonstrate strength and exercise sound governance. My instructor in science and technology was Zor-El, who is married to Alora. He provided comprehensive instruction on all aspects of Krypton technology. I had two educators in the fields of science and technology. The first individual was Zor-El, followed by a man known as Jor-El. The two scientists were siblings. Krypton was a highly regulated society. The common individuals, much like myself, were genetically engineered to fulfill specific programming. I concur that this method is effective for rapid progress and evolution. However, I believe that it has inherent flaws over the long term. A society that is controlled by machines rather than individuals represents a significant failure. I resided in isolation until I acquired comprehensive knowledge about Krypton, my home planet. I am uncertain about the objectives of those who raised me. I am uncertain as to why I was raised in isolation from the other Kryptonians. Nevertheless, I am not concerned. I currently lack the time to contemplate it. I aim to acquire comprehensive knowledge about my community. I dedicated 18 years to acquiring comprehensive knowledge about Krypton, utilizing my photographic memory. All the information I absorbed has been firmly ingrained in my memory. I am equipped and ready to take on the responsibilities of governing the anticipated planet, a goal I have held since my youth. However, a discovery undermined my expectations. Krypton, the planet of my origin, was facing its demise. The discovery was made by my second instructor in science and technology, Jor-El. Individuals were skeptical, unwilling to accept the reality that their home planet was in decline. I have faith in Jor-El's intelligence. I cannot imagine he would make such a mistake. He informed me that the planet has only days left to exist. Faced with the imminent destruction of my planet, I found myself at a crossroads. However, as a future leader, it was imperative that I ensured the legacy of my people endured. I could not allow Krypton to perish. I have engaged in unlawful activity. With the assistance of Jor-El, I acquired the Codex. The Codex served as a repository for the DNA of the entire Kryptonian race. Jor-El intended to integrate this item with his son Kal-El. However,
I cannot permit this. I will not allow an object that has the potential to resurrect the Kryptonians to be combined with an infant who lacks any understanding.
I attempted to persuade Jor-El to integrate this codex into my DNA, however, he declined, stating that his son should possess the codex. I found his reasoning unclear. Why should the son possess something capable of resurrecting the Kryptonians while I do not? Upon my inquiry for clarification, he stated that his son was a Kryptonian who was born through natural means. I found this revelation to be quite unexpected, considering that a standard birth has not occurred on this planet for centuries. However, what is the significance of that? What is the significance of his son being born naturally? I was raised with the finest Krypton DNA. In my opinion, his son resembled those clones created solely for the service of Krypton. Despite that explanation, Jor-El remained unwilling to provide me with the codex. I found his insistence to be quite bothersome. How can an individual of such intelligence jeopardize his own planet's race simply due to his belief in his son's uniqueness? This is the codex. This item enables Kryptonians to secure a promising future. I cannot permit this item to be combined with an individual who lacks knowledge. As I prepared to acquire the codex from Jor-El, I heard, "Jor-El, please surrender the codex." General Zod entered the room accompanied by his subordinates.
No. Jor-El declined and attempted to merge the codex with the infant, but I intervened decisively. With a swift motion, I seized the codex and made my way toward General Zod.
Jor-El attempted to intervene, but he ceased his efforts when the firearms were aimed in his direction. "Emperor." General Zod stated the act of bowing. I acknowledged that General Zod's actions took his subordinates by surprise. No, that action is not permissible. I disregard Jor-El's voice. "General Zod, could you please clarify your current actions?" I find myself compelled to inquire. After all, he is in possession of multiple weapons, though I have a notion of his intentions. "Coup d'état, my lord." I was aware of it. General Zod, I command you to cease the coup d'état at once. Please identify the individuals you hold in the highest regard and promptly evacuate this planet. However, my lord, before he could proceed, I interjected.
"General Zod, Krypton is on the brink of destruction," I state solemnly, and as tears begin to well in my eyes, I swiftly dab my face with my shirt.
"I understand." He spoke with a tone that conveyed significant emotion. "Could you please explain why it was concealed?" He inquired of Jor-El while he was preparing an escape ship for his son. "You, who had doubts about my credibility. I am your colleague Jor-El. Naturally, I would have confidence in you. A ban should have been imposed on you, General Zod." Recognizing that this discussion would require considerable time, I stated with a tone of authority. "Enough. General Zod, please proceed with the task I requested."
Observing the general's uncertainty, I state, "Krypton will remain with me. As long as I am alive, Krypton will be revived." General Zod responded with a look of surprise, saying, "Yes, sir."
Suddenly, I hear the sounds of the ship in flight. Turning towards the source of the noise, I observe the small vessel carrying Jor-El's son ascending into space. "To which location did you dispatch the ship, Jor-El?" I inquired, but Jor-El remained silent.
"Arrest this individual and ascertain the whereabouts of his son. I will proceed to merge with the Codex," I instructed my subordinates in proximity to General Zod.
Observing the uncertainty of his team members, General Zod stated, "This individual is the Emperor of Krypton. He represents our future, and it is imperative that you adhere to all his directives." Certainly. The team members acknowledged my request and promptly began to execute the tasks assigned. "It is imperative that you do not align yourself with Zod, as their objectives contradict the principles I have instilled in you," Jor-El remarked as he and his wife were escorted to an undisclosed location.
"4. Safeguard the Emperor," General Zod stated. "I have tasks to complete." Before General Zod could depart, I stated, "I would like you to acquire several Krypton ships. It is essential to gather comprehensive information regarding the history and technology of the planet. Please ensure that the number of men and women is equal. For every 1,000 men, there should be 1,000 women as well." "Certainly, sir." General Zod departed with his subordinates, and shortly thereafter, a woman with short hair and blue eyes approached me.
Fdeathanfiction, the formidable ally of Zod, embodies a ruthless and relentless spirit. She shares Zod's vision for Krypton, aspiring to restore it as a militaristic and formidable empire. Fdeathanfiction observed the individual standing before her. He possessed long blonde hair, blue eyes, and an air of nobility that enveloped him. With a keen intuition, she recognized that this man shared her nature. "Are you familiar with my background?" Fdeathanfiction inquired. I approached the bed that Jor-El planned to utilize for integrating the Codex into Kal-El's genetic structure. "Yes, I reviewed your war record, and I must acknowledge that your performance on the battlefield is intense and formidable." I positioned myself on the bed and placed the Codex into the equipment.
"Do you have any objections to my approach in battle?" Fdeathanfiction inquired while standing next to me. "No, I found your performance in battle to be quite inspiring." I express my genuine thoughts. Witnessing Fdeathanfiction's destruction of Krypton's adversaries was unexpected.
I do not observe any changes in Fdeathanfiction's expression. You who identify as an emperor, and have earned Zod's respect, please share your insights. Which empire would you like to establish? I activated the machine, and soon I sensed the Codex merging with my blood. There was no pain. Instead, I experienced a profound sense of completeness, as if I had finally filled a void that had long existed. I now comprehend that I possess the DNA of excellence, and the Codex represents the synthesis of all these genetic attributes. I will pursue an alternative route rather than Krypton. I intend to lead with insight and acumen. I will refrain from establishing a militaristic and violent empire. Such an empire is fated for destruction. Upon the merging of the Codex with my genetic structure, I rose and met Fdeathanfiction's gaze directly. I intend to establish a vast empire encompassing numerous planets under my authority, positioning the Krypton race as the most formidable race in this universe. Fdeathanfiction gazed into those bright blue eyes and sensed the man's determination, recognized his ambition, and felt a spark of something she had long overlooked. She experienced a surge of anticipation and optimism for the future of her community.
Fdeathanfiction felt let down that his dream wasn't to create a militaristic empire. But when she heard about his dreams, she figured it might not be such a bad idea to go along with him.
"So, what's your plan for dealing with the races that are blocking your path?" Fdeathanfiction asked me, her hand resting on her heart.
I got up from the bed and said, "I'm going to try to work things out with them peacefully, but if they won't budge, I guess I'll have to take a stronger approach. Fingers crossed it doesn't come to that. I'm not afraid of war, but it really just ends up wasting resources. If there's a war, can I rely on you for help?"
"Sure thing, sir," Fdeathanfiction replied, giving a slight bow. "Good. I just heard a loud noise coming from outside. Looks like the planet is starting to fall apart."
"Hey, we've tracked down the planet where Jor-El's son was sent," a team member mentioned.
"Where is the location?" "So, Kal-El, who happens to be Jor-El's son, was sent off to Sector 2814, landing on a planet we know as Earth." "So, what's the deal with evolution on our planet?" "Hey there, this planet is seen as barbaric by our standards. A barbarian state is basically a place that hasn't figured out how to travel in space yet."
"I'm not sure I get it either. Why would Jor-El send his son to this planet that seems so pointless? I really can't see someone as smart as Jor-El making a mistake."
"How's the star doing in this solar system?" "Hey there, this solar system has a young star, and it's a yellow one." "Got it. I see why Jor-El decided to send his son to a planet like that. So, he's looking to shield him with that Kryptonian background, right? In a solar system with a yellow star, Kryptonians gain superhuman strength, and to the folks on that rough and tumble planet, Kal-El is seen as a god."
"Come on, follow me," I tell Fdeathanfiction and the other person.
Naruto's perspective. A blue world, a world where I found myself all alone, a world that filled me with a sense of instinctive fear as I opened my eyes on the very first day of my life.
It's pretty uncommon for a baby to remember everything from their first day, but just because it's rare doesn't mean it can't happen. I remember it all. I can still feel the chilly water all around me, wrapping around my small frame. Less than texty can still hear that annoying noise of the respirator that kept me alive underwater, see the eager faces of the scientists who made me, and think about that pesky AI that filled me in on all sorts of stuff about Kryptonian society.
I'm really confused about what's going on with my situation. With some time and the info I got from the AI, I started to get it. I was meant to be the emperor of my race. The emperor stands above the people, acting as a guide and ruler for everyone. The AI was showing me a bunch of images while explaining everything. It was pretty interesting. I never got an explanation from the AI about why I had to take on the role of emperor. Just like a lot of kids, I came into the world with a purpose handed to me when I was a baby.
This learning experience with AI went on until I was a bit older and my body had grown enough. That's when I finally left the tube I was in and was taken to the people who would become my parents.
Krypton feels like a suffocating place to me, especially after getting a glimpse into its society. The planet's tech had progressed so much that Kryptonians with free will weren't really needed anymore. With this way of thinking, the higher-ups in the Krypton government started using their technology to create children. That technology even impressed me. But you know, unlike those kids who are all set to serve Krypton, I actually came into this world with free will. I've always wondered why they never tried to brainwash me. I've got a ton of potential, you know. A stifling society, one ruled by the very artificial intelligence that people have built. It's a place where folks have stopped thinking for themselves, and everyone seems so distant and unemotional. In a world where everyone seems so distant, I was really taken aback by the kind gestures of my policy professor, Alora in Z. I never really saw any Kryptonian show kindness to another Kryptonian, but Alora just did it so naturally, like it was the most normal thing in the world. She was such a fantastic teacher. Krypton was a planet with some serious issues in its society. I really believed I was meant to change things. I thought I was here to shake up Krypton's society.
But that future just never happened. As I sat in the commander's chair on one of the spaceships that General Zod had taken, I couldn't help but gaze at the image of Krypton as it was tearing itself apart. There was a weight in the air on the ship. Despite the Kryptonians being a pretty stoic bunch, their love for Krypton was genuine.
You can really see the love for our planet on this ship. The Kryptonians, who usually seem so cold and stoic, couldn't help but shed tears over the destruction of their homeland. I glanced over at the woman standing next to me. Fdeathanfiction is part of the Krypton military, and she really doesn't like Krypton's focus on peace and science. Instead, she longs for the days when Krypton was a tough, militaristic empire. A woman with a wealth of experience in battle, a woman who stood up for Krypton. But, you know, it was those old men who just wanted peace that ended up sending her and General Zod to the Phantom Zone, even though they had the same beliefs. How is it possible for Krypton to condemn his war hero? I was thinking the same thing when I heard about it.
The same woman who battled through all the wars for Krypton, the one who, despite her injuries, kept fighting for Krypton, was now sitting next to me, crying quietly.
These tears say a lot. They show that even the bravest warrior, who's been let down by her own people and labeled a traitor, still has love for Krypton. It's hard to imagine that a fierce and strong woman could have that look on her face. A look of sadness and helplessness as you watch your home planet go up in flames. I took a glance at the pieces of my planet. Bits and pieces of what used to be an advanced civilization now drift through the cosmos. Krypton blew up, and not a single soul in the universe stepped in to help the Kryptonians escape. Out of over 30 billion of them, just 2,000 made it out alive. Everything was lost: historical monuments, technology, children, the elderly, men and women. Well, at least me and about 2,000 Kryptonians managed to get saved, which is something. With Codex, I'm planning to build a Kryptonian empire that's even better than before, but I know that journey is still ahead of me. I'm not sure if I'll even be around when that time comes. After a moment of silence, I noticed the hopeless expressions on my people's faces. I just can't let this happen.
Krypton is an interesting topic. I stood up from my commander's chair and said, "Krypton is not dead," in a serious tone.
I took a moment to check out all the living Kryptonians around me. I just hung around, waiting for everyone to notice me. I realized I needed to bring hope to my people. Without hope, I won't be able to rebuild Krypton. Krypton, a civilization that's been around for over 10 billion years, wouldn't just vanish because our home planet is gone. Kryptonians are pretty unique compared to other races in the universe. They tend to be more logical and a bit on the colder side. It doesn't mean we don't have feelings. It's just that society has pushed us to suppress them. We've ended up relying more on logic than on our emotions.
To be a good ruler, I really need to get to know my people. That was the lesson my politics teacher shared with me before he passed away. I've always held onto these teachings in my mind, and now it's time to put them into action.
To get a Kryptonian on your side, you really need to rely on logic. Yeah, we're not even close to 1% of what we used to be. Sure, our planet got blown up and now we're without a home, but honestly, what does it matter? I couldn't help but smile as I noticed the anger starting to show on the faces of the Kryptonians. Looks like nationalism is still going strong. Huh? Let me share a story with you from way back in the day, thousands of years ago. I climbed up high. Kryptonians in the past were just slaves, I said, and it looked like my words caught a few Kryptonians off guard, except for General Zod, who seemed unfazed. Being a high-ranking general, he gets to access some pretty restricted Krypton info. Sure, getting that information came at the price of keeping quiet.
You know, growing up as the Emperor really gave me a front-row seat to all the info about my planet. I can still recall every little detail I learned back then. Definitely a perk of having a brain that works like a charm. Now that Krypton is gone, I can share things with you that would have gotten me sent to the Phantom Zone before.
Once upon a time, in a time that's kind of faded from our memories, Kryptonians were enslaved. They were captured and treated like lab rats by a scientist. I see the faces of my people, and there's this unmistakable look of disbelief hiding behind their calm expressions. One day, that same scientist got a bit too relaxed, and the Kryptonians of the time seized the chance to take him out. My smile gets bigger when I see my friends looking at me, waiting for me to wrap up my story. Can you believe it? Just 10 Kryptonians managed to build a civilization that stood toe-to-toe with the greatest ones in the universe. I can't help but smile when I see the fulfilled looks in my people's eyes. It's amazing how they just get what I'm trying to say without me having to explain too much. Krypton isn't really gone as long as there's still a Kryptonian around. Our civilization will keep on living. It was just a straightforward speech, nothing too passionate about it. The speech made a lot of sense and really resonated with the Kryptonians. I gave my chest a good thump. I grew up with the expectation of becoming the Krypton Emperor. I grew up with some pretty great genes from our lineage. You could even say I'm the son of Krypton. I stepped away from where I was and made my way to the ship's commander's chair. As long as I'm alive, I'll do everything I can, no matter how tough it gets, to bring back the glory of our race. I'm sitting in the commander's chair, taking a good look at everyone around me. I settle into a comfy spot and rest my hand on my chin. Hey, with your help, we can bring Krypton back to life. Less than text, and I'm going to build an empire that'll stand the test of time for ages to come. Can you help me out, please? There wasn't a shout or any applause. They just had this determined look in their eyes and nodded. Kryptonians are a pretty smart race. Building a space civilization isn't something a foolish race can pull off. We really don't have to behave like barbarians to figure out what we need to do. The Emperor is a leader who guides his people. I've shown them the path, and I'm ready to lead. They just need to follow my lead. I need a damage report. I require information regarding the conservation efforts we have successfully implemented for our planet. Please create a list that includes your name along with the occupation you held in Krypton. Certainly, sir. Fdeathanfiction observed the individual seated in the commander's chair. Your speech was commendable. She expressed her admiration genuinely. The speech was commendable. The speaker demonstrates a deep understanding of Kryptonian thought processes. They are rational individuals who require clear objectives rather than emotional appeals, and the speaker has effectively provided a definitive goal for all. Thank you for your assistance. Your Excellency, I present to you the damage reports. General Zod, positioned to my left, communicated as he transmitted the data to my personal computer. I assess the hologram before me and analyze the resources at our disposal. General Zod, what is the reason for the increase in our warriors? Sir, you instructed me to evacuate the individuals I held in the highest regard. I placed my hand on my head, mimicking the gesture of experiencing a headache. Among the 2,000 surviving Kryptonians, only 500 are civilians, and we currently possess a crew of 2 spaceships, with one of the spaceships remaining unoccupied. There are 1,500 Kryptonians who are skilled warriors, comprising a group of 500 women and 1,000 men.
Additionally, the remaining 500 individuals are women civilians.
What am I supposed to do with only warriors? While aspiring to be a space pirate may seem appealing, my primary focus must be on the reconstruction of civilization.
Reconstructing a civilization requires the expertise of engineers and builders. I require scientists as well.
It is important to note that General Zod's subordinates are not merely any Kryptonians. They represent the pinnacle of expertise in their respective domains. One must possess a foundational understanding of medicine across various fields to effectively serve in the military. This knowledge may not be specialized, yet it is sufficiently advanced in comparison to other races. General Zod, could you please explain the reason for the empty ship? I took the ship as per your request, and I had some individuals who provided their support. What strategies can be employed to execute a coup with limited personnel? As the General of Krypton, it is imperative that you cultivate a broader base of support. I mentioned that you have the highest level of trust in them, correct? It appears that he adhered to my instructions diligently. The individuals he encountered were those he held in the highest regard, while those he distanced himself from were the ones he lacked confidence in. It appears that issuing those orders to General Zod may have been an error. I should have evaluated the situation more thoroughly, as I could have saved additional individuals who would contribute to the reconstruction of Krypton due to my oversight. I had the opportunity to assist my teacher. I attempted to locate my teacher, but I was unsure of her whereabouts. I even went to her residence, but it was vacant, and I was unable to find her daughter as well. There is little value in seeking repentance at this stage. Upon navigating to the next page, I observed the resource report. We have a limited number of personnel, yet we possess an abundance of resources. I reflected on the quantity of money, food, and weapons in my possession. General Zod, could you please inform me of the total number of incubators in our possession? Incubators serve as the means for the creation of Kryptonians. Given that I possess the Codex in my blood, I am capable of generating new Kryptonians utilizing these incubators. This technology is undoubtedly vital to my current endeavors. It holds greater significance than weapons and financial resources. Ultimately, it is through this technology that I will enhance the population of Kryptonians. I successfully acquired 10 incubators, sir. The maturation period for a Kryptonian is 1 year. Upon leaving the incubator, he possesses the ability to walk and reason. Those with higher intelligence, such as myself, tend to remain alert throughout the entire maturation process, though this occurrence is quite uncommon.
10 Kryptonian infants annually, is that correct? This is acceptable. I will designate those civilian women as mothers of these babies.
Were you able to preserve the narrative of Krypton? Indeed, I have digitized the complete narrative stored on a crystal, ensuring that future generations will have the opportunity to learn about Krypton. Satisfactory. Upon reviewing the energy report, I have come to the conclusion that our 2 ships are solely capable of fueling a hyperspace jump.
What is the reason for our limited fuel supply?
We were unable to allocate the new ships within the given time frame. I understand Zod's position. Supplying a spacecraft typically requires a day, which is usually a brief time frame. However, in the context of a planet facing imminent destruction, that duration feels significantly extended. Which solar system contains the nearest yellow star? I inquire while revising the report, whether I have a clear understanding of the necessary actions to take. The nearest solar systems featuring a yellow star are located in sectors 2814, 3000, and 3500. I believe I have a purpose to fulfill. The universe consists of 3,600 sectors available for exploitation. Among the 3,600 sectors, only a limited number contain a young star. Every sector is safeguarded by a member of the Green Lantern Corps, a law enforcement organization established by an immortal race. The Guardians of the Universe are the architects of the Green Lantern Corps. They represent an ancient and immortal civilization. The Kryptonians possess limited knowledge regarding these entities. Their role as the creators and leaders of the Green Lantern troops is well established. Every member of the Green Lantern Corps possesses remarkable strength and exceptional qualities, yet it is only the most formidable among them who can serve as the guardian of the industry. The Green Lanterns are responsible for upholding order and security within their designated sector. However, I inquire, Where was the Green Lantern assigned to our sector? Did the space police withdraw from Krypton? This situation is quite unusual. I recognize that the elder individuals did not have faith in Jor-El. However, what is the perspective on the Green Lantern? Was he not designated to safeguard Krypton in the event of any unforeseen circumstances? Another unusual aspect is the artificial intelligence of the planet. Shouldn't there be a warning if the planet is in a critical state? Numerous uncertainties exist. I suspect this was orchestrated. I maintain my composure. Regardless of any plans that may exist, the reality remains that 30 billion Kryptonians have perished. Regardless of whether it is an individual scheme, that reality remains unchanged.
The planet Krypton has perished, which is an established fact.
Is it possible that this situation was influenced by an unknown entity? It is a possibility. However, that is not my primary concern at this moment. I aim to reconstruct a civilization as I reimagine Krypton. I will investigate the circumstances thoroughly. The possibility of Krypton's destruction being the result of manipulation by an external entity is worth exploring. I will persist until this entity is eliminated. I will guarantee that your demise is excruciating. Sir, is everything in order? I perceive Fora's icy voice beside me. I turn to Feora and say, yes, everything is in order. I focus on the chair that I damaged due to excessive force. Everything is in order.
I review the panel and assess my options. Sector 2814 is the solar system where Jor-El dispatched his son. This sector is less robust in comparison to the other two.
Sector 3000 was a solar system adjacent to the Darkside Empire. At this time, it is advisable for me to maintain distance from this individual. Although I have not met him in person, my understanding of him leads me to conclude that he exhibits erratic behavior. He is an authoritarian leader who shows little regard for the well-being of his citizens. I find it challenging to establish a rapport with individuals of that nature. Even if I attempt to engage positively, there is a likelihood that he may seek to exploit my resources, and at present, I lack the necessary support to confront Darkseid. I do not fear conflict, but engaging in a battle that is destined for failure is unwise. Such endeavors only deplete valuable resources. Sector 3500 is a solar system adjacent to Isaiah, Highfather. In contrast to Darkseid, he demonstrates fairness in his leadership. I possess only positive records of this emperor. He is also an adversary of Darkseid. However, I prefer not to be subordinate to another emperor. I would not permit that under any circumstances. After careful consideration of my next steps, I rise from the chair. Initiate hyperspace activation. Certainly, sir. Which sector should we proceed to, sir? We are heading to Sector 2814, Planet Earth. Certainly, sir. Sector 2814, in proximity to the Moon. A wormhole emerged near the Moon, from which two massive ships exited. Remarkable. The landscape can only be described with that single word. I was surprised by the beauty of the young star. I had encountered images previously, but experiencing it firsthand is entirely different. I provide feedback discreetly. I divert my gaze and observe a blue planet, a planet in its youth. He possesses striking beauty and is distinctly unlike those from Krypton. Utilize sonar to gather comprehensive information about this planet and to locate our Kryptonian. I rise from the commander's chair, which has now been replaced with a new one. Certainly, sir. I exit the command cabin accompanied by Feora and Zod. As I traverse the aisles of the ship, I observe Kryptonians diligently engaged in their tasks, their expressions marked by a sense of seriousness. I nod in approval. Sir. A Kryptonian demonstrated a gesture of respect by bowing down. I choose to disregard and continue on my path. This is the appropriate conduct for a Kryptonian emperor. I cannot extend kindness to a race that lacks an understanding of that sentiment. I must maintain a demeanor that is both composed and dignified. As I navigate the corridors, I arrive at my personal space, gaze into the mirror, and observe the bright yellow sun. Feora, please disable the shield in my room. Certainly, sir. Could you please take care of this? Zod inquired of me. Comprehending the significance of Zod, I respond with a nod. Krypton was a remarkably advanced society. We did not require the use of our abilities in combat, as we possessed highly sophisticated armor. I proceed to the center of the room. I view this as a setback. Our physical well-being should take precedence over technology. I direct my attention to Zod. As a general and a warrior, you comprehend my meaning, correct? Zod acknowledges with a nod. I choose to engage physically, however, utilizing our abilities in a solar system with a red sun is not feasible. Therefore, we required armor. I acknowledge his statements with a nod of agreement. You are correct. However, your assertion is also incorrect. If we were a highly advanced society, it would be logical to develop armor that harnesses the energy of a yellow star. Observing Zod's lack of response, I express my disappointment by shaking my head. Krypton stifled the creativity of its own citizens. I recognize that there were concerns regarding betrayal. However, it is important to note that control is not always the solution. At times, it is necessary to grant individuals the freedom to act independently while maintaining a vigilant oversight akin to that of a caregiver observing a child. In the event of an error, it is important to address the situation appropriately and use it as a learning opportunity for others to avoid similar missteps. When they perform well, it is important to acknowledge their efforts and provide appropriate rewards. I need to check on something too. Where's the Green Lantern who's in charge of this sector? Do you think he's been left behind? Absolutely, sir. I'm standing in front of a small ship, chatting with Ursa, my subordinate. I've already mentioned it, but you're not coming with me. I really can't be with someone who has a strong dislike for men. What if you end up hurting a native man just because he makes you uncomfortable? But, sir, you'll be left without protection. I feel pretty confident with my current powers, so I don't really need protection. But I get that having bodyguards around is important. Well, it's a planet we don't really know much about. No need to worry, Ursa. I've got his back. Feora, are you really able to keep him safe? Feora crosses her arms, looking annoyed. Are you really questioning my skills? Seeing that things are about to spiral, I say, all right, that's enough. They both glance my way and give a little bow. I apologize, sir. I'm looking at Ursa. Ursa, I can't have you as my coast guard. Your feelings about men might cause some serious issues if something happens to a local. No need to worry, sir. I can handle myself. She had this smug look on her face when she spoke. I'm looking at Zod. So, how many times has she gone after a male Kryptonian today? Zod pressed a couple of buttons on the armor, and a hologram popped up. Ever since we got to this solar system, it's been trying to take out 21 Kryptonian guys. I glance at Ursa, but she's turned away. Well, it's settled then, you're not going. But, sir, I just brushed it off and hopped onto the small ship. I say small, but honestly, it can easily fit 20 people without a problem. Hey General Zod, I'm off to grab the baby Kryptonian. Can you hold down the fort on the ship for me? Absolutely, sir. Hey, Feora. Sure. I walk onto the ship with Feora and take a seat on a black throne. What's with the throne being here? Feora strolled over to the cockpit and settled into the pilot's chair. Feora, piloting the ship, glanced over at Naruto, who was sitting on a black throne with his eyes closed. She was curious about the choices Naruto made. She understood that those were the best choices a commander could make. She recognized that Naruto is a different person than Zod. Zod can be pretty stubborn, arrogant, rude, and vindictive, can't he? Due to these traits, his judgments aren't really spot on. Feora really gets what Zod is all about. Naruto definitely stands out from Zod. He's got this cleverness about him and a charm that's all his own. That new red hair really adds to his charisma, doesn't it? Feora doesn't have any issues with a rational commander like Naruto. Honestly, she just wanted to get in there and have a good time on the battlefield. Feora figured that if Naruto wasn't around and Zod was in charge, Zod wouldn't hesitate to launch an attack on Earth. She wasn't sure what the outcome of this attack would be, but she had a gut feeling it was going to flop. She felt that uneasy feeling grow stronger when she realized that civilizations on this planet could actually hide from Kryptonian technology. I'm here to help. What do you need assistance with today? We arrived, Feora said. I opened my eyes and looked at Feora. Hey Feora, can you turn on the panoramic view? Absolutely, sir. Feora tapped a few buttons on the pilot panel. A few seconds later, the floor of the ship vanished, and I could see right through it.
Hey Fora, did you turn on the invisibility?
Sure. That's great. What's that all about? Hey, is that a vehicle over there? It looks like their societies are pretty chaotic, lacking any real social organization. I noticed a guy walking down the street with a sign that said, "Closed." From what I gather, that's something we should all take seriously, but it seems like some people just aren't following the rules. But it looks like these individuals aren't facing any consequences. Wow, this is really chaotic. How do they manage to live with all this mess around? Hey, that vehicle is letting out gases through that tube, right? Isn't that harmful? Why isn't anyone taking action on this?
I didn't expect the technology on this planet to be so low. They continue to rely on technology that negatively impacts the environment. People who really seem to struggle with looking after their own planet.
I shake my head a few times to try to clear these thoughts away. I'm finding it hard to hold onto my biases against other races. That bias is just going to mess with how I see things. It can be tough to separate yourself from what you've picked up along the way. I'm just hanging out, watching these humanoids while I wait for the Kryptonian baby to show up. I take a quick glance at Feora. What are your thoughts on them? I'd love to hear your honest thoughts. These creatures seem pretty weak and barbaric, and it looks like they just don't learn from their mistakes, Feora responded.
I totally get what she's saying, but I see a woman caring for a baby, smiling softly, and I think it seems like the Kryptonians have lost that feeling over time. Not many Kryptonians are able to express affection, love, and kindness. My instructor Alora was one of those Kryptonians, you know. I'm sorry, but it seems like there's no text provided for me to rewrite. Could you please share what you'd like me to work on? Hey Martha, I feel like you might have gone a bit overboard with the shopping. Jonathan Kent felt a bit uneasy when he noticed his van filled to the brim with baby products. Babies eat a ton of stuff, and it's all good. Martha smiled warmly while cradling a baby in her arms. Jonathan walked over to the truck and grabbed a toy dinosaur. Come on, Martha, he's still just a baby, he doesn't really need that. It's okay, it's going to grow. Quote. Jonathan let out a sigh. He's quietly hurting inside. He used all the money he saved to grow his farm on baby products instead. He's just trying to figure out what he might have done in life to end up here. Hey, Jonathan, let's give Clark a break, okay? Martha said as she hopped into the truck. Jonathan glanced at the baby cradled in his wife's arms and gave a nod. He hopped into his truck and fired up the engine, then off he went to his farm. When Jonathan pulled up to the farm, he hopped out of the car and started unloading the baby stuff at home. After he finished up, he closed the door and headed over to Martha, who was having fun with little Kal-El. Just as he was about to sit down next to Martha, there was a knock at the door. Hey, are you expecting someone to drop by? Martha wanted to know. Oh, I wasn't really expecting any visitors. Jonathan thinks about it and can't recall waiting for anyone. Jonathan stood up and strolled over to the door. When he opened the door, he found himself staring at a tall guy with long red hair and striking blue eyes. He looked pretty serious, like nothing could faze him. There was something really impressive about the way he carried himself, but what caught Jonathan off guard was the high-tech armor the guy had on. Hey there, we're here to pick up our son. Jonathan's a bit unsure about how to reply. Hey, is the translator acting up or something? A man was talking to a woman next to him in a language that sounded pretty unusual. Jonathan glances over and spots a woman decked out in some seriously cool futuristic armor. She's got blue eyes and black hair. She has a really proportional body, but what caught Jonathan's eye the most was that cold look she had. The woman had a transparent helmet on her head, while the man had his face out there for everyone to see. Everything's working just fine, sir. What do you mean by our son? The woman replied in a language that Jonathan didn't understand. I'm just playing that part. You're my wife, and the baby is our son. Let's just go with what I had in mind. The guy says something to the girl. Absolutely. Are we able to get in? The man suddenly asked. Wait, what? Yeah, Jonathan answered without really thinking about it. Naruto and Fora stepped into the Kent house, their eyes wandering around with a sense of curiosity. Fora thought the house was pretty tacky. Naruto takes a deep breath and ponders for a moment. The air here is way better than what you'd find on Krypton. Who are you? Martha let out a scream while cradling the baby close to her. Naruto glanced at the woman and pondered. It seems like this is going to take. Naruto glanced at the two humans, his face showing no emotion. Hey there, I'm Naruto L, and I'm the dad of the little one you're holding. He glances at Fora and says, she's my wife, Fora L. She's Kal-El's mom. Kal-El? Martha asked, glancing at the two aliens with a hint of suspicion in her eyes. But as she noticed them just standing there, she relaxed her guard a bit. Yep, that baby's name is Kal-El. Martha and Jonathan couldn't shake off their suspicion about someone who just showed up claiming to be Clark's father. Hey there, I'm just wondering, what made you choose this approach? Fora asks in Kryptonian. Is that a problem? Fora gives a nod. Quote. I'm just wondering, Naruto said while glancing at the two humans. Why did they choose to accept someone from another country as their son? They've got to realize that this baby is a bit different, right? I mean, he arrived in a spaceship. But still, they welcomed him like he was one of their own. I'm just really curious about that. What were these humans thinking when they decided to accept Kal-El? Why do they protect you like you're their own kid? Naruto realized that even though he excelled in many things, he was pretty clueless when it came to emotions. Nobody back on Krypton really taught him about feelings, and that left him a bit lost. He was really curious about this decision, which he thought was pretty foolish. Got it. Fora got that Naruto wasn't going to say anything more. Martha and Jonathan felt a bit uneasy watching the man and woman chat in a language they didn't get. Hey, just take a deep breath. We're not here to cause any trouble, Naruto said, his face completely blank. Jonathan and Martha waved a bit. They were feeling a bit suspicious, but since nothing was happening, they just sighed. What are your names? Naruto was curious and asked. I'm Jonathan Kent, and this is my wife, Martha Kent. Hey there, I'm Jonathan. Hey, who are you? Do these people not think at all? Did you just let them know? Did they forget? Fora made a comment in Kryptonian. Naruto brushed off Fora and spoke in a calm, dignified tone. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm the dad of this baby that Martha's holding. Wait, so you're telling me, aliens? Martha wanted to know. If you think about it from your race's perspective. Yep, I'm an alien just like my son. Martha and Jonathan found it awkward to chat with someone they couldn't really connect with at all. It feels like he's completely devoid of emotions, even when he calls his son, it just seems off. Jonathan and Martha are thinking. I get that you're still feeling a bit suspicious. Naruto called out to grab their attention. Let me share a bit about our race with you. Naruto began sharing the story of how Krypton met its end and how he had to step in to save their son. He began to share that he wasn't sure if he would make it through. So, he decided to send their son to a planet where he could thrive with his abilities and all that. Martha and Jonathan opened their eyes in astonishment. They would not anticipate encountering a narrative reminiscent of a science fiction film. May I hold my son? Naruto inquired. Martha and Jonathan exchanged glances and nodded. Although they were wary, they chose to extend an opportunity to Naruto. Martha approaches Naruto and hands over Clark. Naruto takes Clark and observes the baby in his hands. I find him to be quite ordinary. I had anticipated that a Kryptonian born through natural means would possess unique qualities, yet he appears to be just like anyone else. I am curious as to why my teacher held such a strong fascination with his son. Naruto approaches the window of the Kent residence. Jonathan and Martha observe Clark with concern, attempting to approach Naruto in an effort to retrieve him, but Fora halts their advance with her icy stare. Naruto removes the garments Clark was wearing and discards them onto the floor. What are you currently engaged in? Martha attempts to reach Naruto, but Fora intervenes to prevent her from doing so. Martha felt a sense of intimidation in the presence of the woman clad in futuristic armor. Naruto disregards the woman and proceeds to speak. Kryptonians represent a unique category. He opens the window, permitting Clark to be enveloped in sunlight. We are a species that, Upon exposure to the yellow sun, experience an enhancement of our strength. Naruto observed Clark, who was joyfully laughing in his hands. Naruto offered a subtle smile upon witnessing the baby at play. By allowing my son to walk in the sun while wearing excessive clothing, you are hindering his development. Naruto gently released Clark from his embrace. Exclamation mark. Jonathan and Martha observe with alarm as Clark descends. There is no need for concern, Naruto stated. As Clark's small body neared the ground, he suspended in midair. Exclamation mark. Jonathan and Martha were now taken aback. Are you clear on this now? Kal-El is not a human being. Naruto embraced Kal-El once more. He is a Kryptonian. He would find it challenging to coexist with a race as delicate as humans, perceiving his surroundings as a fragile environment. Shortly thereafter, Martha and Jonathan began to regain their composure. The couple observes Clark, now referred to as Kal-El, playing in Naruto's arms, who remains expressionless. What is the reason for your? Jonathan was at a loss for words. Are there no emotions? Naruto stated. Jonathan acknowledged with a nod. Martha observes Fora and experiences discomfort. She does not appear to be the mother of Kal-El. She demonstrates a lack of concern for her son. Our society is shaped by the diversity of races, reflecting the decisions made by our planet in the past. The choice to prioritize logic and rational thinking over our emotions is shared by all the inhabitants of my planet, including my wife and me. It appears to be a frigid planet, Jonathan stated. Naruto displayed a subtle smile. I concur with your perspective. Jonathan chuckled softly and took a seat in the chair. He exhibited signs of fatigue. Martha followed her husband's lead and took a seat on the couch. Will you be taking a seat? We are adequately positioned. Fora speaks in a detached manner. She would never permit the emperor of their race to occupy such a mundane setting. Martha and Jonathan displayed slight disapproval upon hearing Fora's voice. I would appreciate your understanding regarding my wife's demeanor, Naruto stated with a neutral expression. It is acceptable, as you mentioned previously, correct? Various societies and diverse customs, Jonathan stated. Naruto displayed a subtle smile. I am interested in learning more. Pardon, Jonathan observed the reds of Naruto. He had never encountered anyone with red eyes and red hair. I believe this is typical for their planet. What prompted your decision to accept Kal-El? Jonathan and Martha shared a brief moment of laughter. Initially, I was taken aback by the sight of an infant descending from a spacecraft. Such an occurrence is certainly uncommon. Martha addressed the audience. She regarded Kal-El. Due to my inability to have children, I viewed Kal-El as a blessing. My decision to adopt him was made without much deliberation. I believed it was the appropriate course of action. Is that the appropriate course of action? Naruto regarded Martha thoughtfully, reflecting on her words. She did not behave in a rational manner. She responded based on her emotions. This approach can serve as both a strength and a weakness for her. Krypton has forsaken emotions, he contemplated. He declined with a shake of his head. It is more accurate to state that we suppress our emotions. Therefore, I find her attitude to be unusual. I do not possess the suppressed emotions characteristic of other Kryptonians. However, I find myself in a similar predicament as my people. Growing up in an environment devoid of emotional expression has shaped my personality. My understanding of kindness emerged only during my studies with my teacher. Despite this awareness, I struggle to act in accordance with this emotion. My decisions carry weight beyond my personal interests, impacting my entire populace. While I cannot govern based solely on emotions, it is imperative that I comprehend them, especially as an emperor responsible for multiple races. I must remain attuned to their perspectives. Naruto gained significant insights during his discussion with the couple. A ruler who lacks an understanding of his subjects is unfit to govern, as he recognizes the importance of emotions. Krypton exhibits a frigid societal structure. He possessed extensive knowledge of Kryptonians. Ultimately, he was brought up by them, yet he lacks knowledge of this species referred to as humans. As articulated by policy professor Alora Nz, to effectively lead a race, one must comprehend the underlying thought processes, cultural dynamics, and policy frameworks involved. It is essential to have comprehensive knowledge about this breed. Governance over diverse races requires a nuanced approach. While I could choose to disregard these complexities, such a path would ultimately lead to tyranny, a fate that is unsustainable and detrimental to the very people I serve. Naruto was contemplating the insights he gained today. The combination of emotions such as kindness and compassion, along with the conviction that this was the appropriate course of action, prompted Martha's behavior. I reflected internally. In pursuit of clarity regarding this matter, I inquire, "Where is my son's ship? What actions will you take?" Jonathan inquired of me. "We are departing, as I have completed my objectives during my time here." I respond with complete honesty. "Could you please clarify what you mean by?" Martha spoke in a dismissive tone. "Are you planning to go out?" "And Clark. His name is Kal-El. Indeed, he will accompany me." It appears she developed a strong attachment to Kal-El. It is quite an unusual situation. They safeguard entities that are not their equals. Jonathan acknowledged with a nod. "I have secured the vessel in the basement. Please accompany me." Jonathan. "Martha, they are the parents. We do not have the authority to remove their children. However, they left him behind." She attempts to present her case. "Martha." Jonathan expressed his frustration loudly. Martha felt a sense of discomfort upon witnessing Jonathan's outburst. Jonathan directed his gaze towards me. "I apologize for this." "It is acceptable," I respond. I observe Martha. As I suspected, this kindness impairs her judgment. Emotions hold significance, but one cannot operate solely on feelings. A balance of logic and emotion is essential, as equilibrium is crucial. I accompany Jonathan to the basement. As I follow him, I take a moment to observe the natural surroundings and inhale deeply. This planet exhibits a remarkable level of cleanliness in comparison to Krypton. I recall the significant pollution that affected our planet. I found this planet to be quite impressive. It is in proximity to a yellow sun. However, the inhabitants of this planet do not seem to appreciate its worth. It appears that my perspective influences my views. One tends not to value something that is obtained with minimal effort. The Kryptonians have previously encountered this error. I reflect that, regarding errors, our races share notable similarities. Observing my actions, Fora, who was beside me, inquires in the Kryptonian language. "Excuse me, sir. Fora, what is your assessment of this planet?" Fora observes the natural surroundings for a brief moment. "I believe this planet would serve as a suitable foundation for the Kryptonian Empire." I found her comment somewhat amusing and chuckled softly. "Certainly." I cease my observations and proceed to follow Jonathan while carrying the still undressed Kal-El. Upon entering the basement, I observed a vessel designed to accommodate an individual, adorned with the emblem of the house. The material remains intact, although its composition is unknown. Jonathan stated. I disregard him and proceed towards the ship. Initiate. I am proficient in the Kryptonian language. ... Why was it not activated? Upon closer inspection, I discern that this vessel is quite old. It was initiated with a unique key. Upon clicking the button, a key featuring the symbol of the house, L, is released. I retrieve the key and reinsert it. This time, the ship activates, although it is lacking fuel. Fora, please take the ship. We are departing. Certainly, my lord. Fora advanced toward the vessel and elevated it effortlessly with a single hand. That is quite impressive. Jonathan expressed his admiration. This is standard practice for our operations. I state as I exit the basement. As I exited the basement, a loud noise caught my attention. Fora had compromised the integrity of the basement entrance. I observed Jonathan. I would like to express my apologies for my wife's behavior. She tends to be somewhat lacking in sensitivity. Fora raises an eyebrow slightly upon hearing Naruto's remarks about her. It is acceptable. Jonathan expressed his thoughts, yet I can discern from his tone that something is amiss. I exhale softly. Given that they attended to a member of my race, I can certainly address that attitude, correct? I support Kal-El with my left hand while bringing my right arm near my face. Turn off invisibility. I am proficient in the Kryptonian language. ... Jonathan observes the dimly lit surroundings. Upon gazing at the sky, he perceives a massive vessel. This is quite surprising. This object was situated on our roof the entire time. It would be an understatement to assert that Jonathan is not surprised. I observed the ship descend gently onto the surface. I glanced at Fora and acknowledged her with a nod. She approached the ship and opened the rear compartment. Upon placing Kal-El's ship inside, she returned to my side, presenting Kal-El to her. Fora regards Kal-El with a sense of indifference as she holds him. Please treat him with respect, as he is part of our community. I state. Certainly, my lord, she responded, yet her expression remained unchanged. At the very least, she demonstrated an understanding. I boarded the ship and acquired a piece of equipment designed for heating food. While it may seem redundant to us, given our ample supply of such devices, it must be an extraordinary item for a race that lacks technological advancement. Could you please clarify the function of this item? The appliance efficiently heats our food, is compact in size, comparable to a chair, and features a small door for food placement. Arthur's note. I'm not very good at describing futuristic technology right now, but this is essentially a highly sophisticated microwave. I approached Jonathan. Take it. I grab Jonathan's hands and deliver him the equipment. This is an important item of our race. You can sell it to your government or something, you will earn a lot of money. Wait. Heavy. Jonathan exclaims. Consider this a gesture of thanks for taking care of my son. I spoke as I looked towards the spacecraft. Jonathan observed Naruto enter the spacecraft. Shortly after, the ship climbed to the heavens and vanished, as if it had never existed. They are gone. He examines the object he received. What do I do with this? He sees a futuristic object and, to be honest, has no idea what it is for. Remembering Naruto's remarks, he resolves to save this as a family heritage. After all, it's a valuable alien thing. I put Kal-El in an incubator to develop and get stronger. Enable the Guardian Protocol. The Guardian Protocol is a method that includes fluids that are good to the child's body. It will grow to be the ideal fighter. I watched the incubator close, and it was quickly filled with a green liquid that would help Kal-El grow stronger. Sir, are you certain? He's the son of a traitor, Fora inquired. Yes, I intend to make Kal-El as a guardian of Krypton. He will be a warrior who defends his species from Krypton's foes. And this baby is innocent. I will not hold Kal-El responsible for his parents' crimes. I understand, Fora stated as she approached me and requested. Sir, what education program should I introduce to him? I remember participating in educational activities as a child. This was essentially an artificial intelligence educating you about Krypton, much like the Guardian program. There are several educational programs. Krypton was a civilization in which you were expected to be something from birth. All Kryptonians had a function, which was assigned by someone. You had no free will. I will create a new education program. I approached the incubator and began typing at great speed. What program do you intend to create, sir? Fora questioned me. I smile slightly. You are asking a lot of questions today, Fora. Exclamation mark. I am sorry, my lord. I was just curious. Quote. Yes, I laughed a little. Curiosity is an excellent quality, Fora. With curiosity, you learn new things and are not bound by old customs. Quote. I looked at Fora and noticed she was silent, reflecting on what I had said. It's a good thing she's a war hero, a killing machine. She just obeyed orders without considering the orders themselves. She did not query if the commands were correct or not. I realized she was designed that way. However, I plan to modify that. Having someone like Fora is reassuring. She is powerful, gorgeous, and loyal. However, she cannot maintain her previous thinking. She must be adaptable. It is encouraging to watch her progress. Answering your question, I say, I intend to create a program about myself, the Krypton Emperor. Are you going to indoctrinate children to obey you? It is wrong. I will be your teacher. I will change the appearance of artificial intelligence. I will assume my own appearance. I will teach the new children everything. I will be their teacher. I will teach all topics, beginning with politics, militarism, science, and so on. I'll teach them everything. I answered honestly when designing artificial intelligence, and I intend to use 100% of the Kryptonian brain. We are an intellectual race with enormous potential. Nonetheless, the past authorities of Krypton were wary about this possibility. Still, unlike these leaders, I am not afraid of that possibility. You understand, Fora, teachers have a vital role in children's life. I stare at Fora while I program. Because of the teachers that I had, because of the teachings that I received from the teachers that I am the person I am today. I recall my instructors in Krypton. I intend to be that existence for these children. Fora went wide-eyed as she realized what Naruto was attempting to do. He aspires to build an ideal in which future children will feel connected to their emperor. With this mindset, students will be eager to do anything for their emperor and instructor. Fora nodded at herself, a nasty smirk on her face. Naruto is terrible. He is practically brainwashing people. After creating the new artificial intelligence, I turned on the incubator. I provided the crystal data to Fora. Give this to the scientists. I want them to copy this program and install it in all incubators. Yes, my lord. Fora approached the spaceship's cabin. I sat on the throne, closing my eyes. Where are we going, my lord? Let's go back to the mothership. Welcome back, my lord. General Zod and Ursa met me as I stepped off the spacecraft. I want 24-hour monitoring on our young Kryptonian. He must grow up to be Krypton's guardian. General Zod, you are our people's most exceptional warrior. When Kal-El is old enough, I want you to train him to be your successor. Yes, my lord. I noticed someone close to General Zod. Who are you? I asked out of curiosity. This man is taller than General Zod, strong, and bald. He appears to be someone who acts before thinking. His name is Nan. He is my most trusted warrior. Oh, to have General Zod's confidence, you must be outstanding. Nan knelt and spoke. Thank you very much for the compliment, my lord. He talked with a passionate tone. He kneeled down. In our society, it only has one meaning. Is he saying he wants to serve me? I look at Zod, and he nods. It appears that I was correct. Why do you want to serve me personally? You are the future of Krypton. I intend to protect that future with my own hands. I want to be your shield. I intend to be Krypton's shield. That has always been my wish. Would you sacrifice yourself for me? If it's to protect Krypton's future, I would sacrifice myself with a smile on my face. He speaks with a determined tone. I smiled as I felt his burning passion and resolve in his words. What's your name? My name is Nan. Just Nan. I approach Nan and halt a little in front of him, making a hand signal, saying, Nan, starting today, I declare you as my guardian. You will be the Emperor's shield. If one day I am in danger, your job is to protect me. Your job is to be my guardian. I will fulfill this function with my life. I will protect Krypton's future. Good. Back in the commander's chair, report. My lord, we found traces of civilizations on the planet Mars. My subordinate spoke. Put it on the main screen. Soon, everyone in the cockpit could see signs of civilization on the planet. Our scanners indicate that these structures can contain around 1,000 years of history. Looking at the photographs, I saw something. This planet was attacked by something or a more advanced society, which exterminated the population, but why didn't that something invade Earth? Did we find life on the planet? No life remains on the planet. It is clean, but... My subordinate glanced at me and said, we found something unidentified. Oh, show me. The image began to alter, and I eventually saw what appeared to be a gigantic egg. What is it? We don't know. It's unknown. Our scanners are unable to determine what this is. It appears to be shielded by some form of energy. I am staring at General Zod. Organize an expedition. I want 4 experienced warriors and 1 scientist on that planet. We need to know what that egg is. My lord, we don't have a scientist. General Zod spoke. I understand, but your team is made up of first-rate soldiers, correct? They are trained in every area, correct? I merely need a soldier with biological experience. General Zod's eyes widened and nodded. I know someone. Good. I want them on Mars in less than 2 hours. Yes, my lord. I looked at my subordinate. Continue. We found several planets capable of extracting resources. The planets capable of extracting resources are Mars, Jupiter, Earth, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Mercury, Venus and Neptune. Basically, all of the planets in our solar system can extract resources. Why is Pluto not included in the list? He's useless, he's just rock, and rock we can collect on other planets closer. I see. I nod in accord. What planets are possible for terraforming? Taking into account the Krypton atmosphere, planets close to the Sun are the most desirable option. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. I intended to seize Earth if at all feasible, but doing so would require starting a war. I know virtually little about that world. This planet may have civilizations that endanger my people. I can't disregard this notion. After all, it's a planet with millions of years of history. High risk, high payoff. If I were General Zod, I would have invaded Earth without thinking, but I am going to play it safe. I look at the final 3 planets. Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Which planet is most likely to have natural water? The scanners indicate that Mars is the most attractive choice. We can make a planet identical to Earth by slightly altering the planet's atmosphere and crust rotation. I opened my eyes and saw the outline of a smile on my face. Good job. As soon as the team retrieves the unknown egg on Mars, we will begin the terraforming process from Mars. Krypton will soon be reborn. I see my crew's excited demeanor in the control room. After all, this is great news. I want you to keep getting data from the planet Mars. This is going to be our new home. We need to know everything that happened to that planet. Yes, my lord. I stare at General Zod. I want you to research a training menu for soldiers. The conditions for this training must be under the yellow sunlight. It is time for us to control our talents. Absolutely, my lord. I'm up against General Zod. I really don't want this ship to be destroyed. Let's use the empty ship for training. You know Zod. He'll probably just dive right into training on this ship without a second thought about it getting destroyed. Sure, I knew it. He'd totally use this ship. Actually, I've decided to cancel the training. Let's just whip up that training menu, and we'll totally master our gifts in the new Krypton. Just go ahead and put on the armor for now. Sure. I rise from the command chair. Could you send me the data on the political leaders of Earth to my personal computer? Absolutely, my lord. Hey Fora, let's go. Hey General Zod, why don't you take the lead here? I'm heading out of the control room with Fora and Non by my side. I strolled down the corridors and made my way to my personal room. As I step into my personal room, I say, no, I need you to make sure no one enters this room without my say-so. Whatever you wish, I'm here to help, my lord. Less than text. I swear I'll protect this entry with everything I've got. ... Not really, it's just a door. Just do your job like you usually do, that's what I wanted to say. But looking at his determined face, I just couldn't bring myself to say anything. That's great. I'm heading into my room with Fora by my side. I strip off my armor and toss it aside, just in my underwear now. I glance over at Fora. Could you please take off your clothes? Fora's expression shifts slightly, showing a hint of surprise, but then she nods slowly and starts to remove her armor. In just a few seconds, she had taken off all her clothes and was standing there in front of me, completely naked. Come a little closer. Fora strolled over to me with a sense of confidence. It looks like she's not really bothered by this situation at all. I really appreciate that her armor got destroyed so many times as a war heroine. It'd be odd for her to behave like a little girl during a fight. I'm checking out Fora's body. She had a strong, athletic build, with modest breasts and a firm backside. I see that she's shaved down there, but that's not really surprising. Our race doesn't have much hair. I noticed she doesn't have any scars on her body, which I find a bit odd. I mean, a lot of warriors like to show off their scars as proof of their battles, right? It looks like she didn't leave anything behind. Our medical technology is pretty advanced these days. As long as someone is alive, we can help them heal, no matter what kind of damage they have in their body. A random thought just popped into my head. You know, when I think about a little girl, a certain blonde teenager pops into my mind. I can't help but wonder if she's still around. I hold her hands. Hey, do you trust me? Absolutely, my lord. That's great. Hey, can you turn off the shields? The sun gradually made its way into my room. I noticed Fora shrink back a bit. She started to frown and looked really uncomfortable. I totally get what she's dealing with. If it weren't for my body's amazing control, I would have really struggled to hone my skills. Pay attention to my body, listen closely to my voice, and just tune out everything else around you. I'm starting to train Fora. Since she's my blade, she can't be rusty. She has to stay sharp and ready to take down my enemies. I notice her eyes glowing red, and I say, hey, don't lose control. I get it's tough, but you're a warrior, aren't you? You've been through your fair share of challenges. This is tough. Her eyes begin to sparkle even more. Tisk, she seems to be losing control. I walk over, wrap my arms around her waist gently, and pull her into a hug. Not long after, I lean in and kiss her. She's taken aback, but she kisses me back. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching this amazing video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more content. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.